Breaking news now at 11. Tragedy on the fire line. Another firefighter has died battling the California wildfire.
The latest victim was killed in the line of duty fighting the Mendocino complex fire, the largest ever in California. California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection confirmed that death tonight. A firefighter has not been identified.
A firefighter from Utah was working on an active portion of the fire where he was injured this evening. The firefighter was airlifted to a local hospital where he succumbed from his injuries. We're extremely heartbroken for this loss.
This is the 6th firefighter killed this year fighting California's wildfires.
A Corona family is back in their home tonight for the first time after evacuating from the holy fire.
And they have some hero firefighters to thank for saving it. CBS2 Stacey Butler is live in Corona with more on a firefighter's house call that made all the difference. Stacey?
Well, Pat and Jeff, after a fire captain and his crew saved a resident's home who lives just up the hill here in Horse Thief Canyon, well, he knocked on the front door. He wanted to make sure that the people inside were okay. The homeowner answered his front door with his phone, with his smartphone. He was 25 miles away and watched the entire firefight from his phone.
Me, my wife Wendy, and my aunt all watching my phone live, watching the fire raging to my house.
From his Skybell HD, Frank Grosso watched flames from the holy fire melt his fence and race toward his Corona home.
I 100% thought my house was going to go down, and the next thing we would know, we'd be watching a melted camera. My wife had started crying at that point because it was real.
Just before he was evacuated Thursday afternoon, Grosso pointed one of his Skybell cameras in an upstairs bedroom toward the canyon to keep an eye on his home. From his aunt's home in Irvine, he watched as firefighters attacked the flames and saved his house. Then the real surprise.
Your house is safe.
All of a sudden I get a notification someone's at my front door for my video doorbell.
I don't know if you could see what was going on in the back. It got hit really, really hard, being that first house right next to the wildland. The fence, everything instantly went down because it's plastic, you know, and the guys got hit hard, but we let nothing get into the house. The yard's a little blackened, but your house is perfect. Are you guys doing okay wherever you're at?
Yeah, we're over here at my aunt's house in Irvine. We're okay.
I told them, you know, thank you, we love you. We love you guys, man.
We love you guys, man. Stay safe.
It's times like these that really, you know, open your eyes up to, you know, their level of commitment and what they do.
Up to you.
Take care.
Nothing but gratitude out here from the Corona and the Lake Elsinore area for the firefighters still fighting the holy fire. Frank Grosso told me that he posted his video on Twitter. He got a response from that fire captain who said he was just doing his job. That's the very latest from Corona. Back to you guys in the studio.
Good job indeed, Stacey. Thank you. Developing news at this hour, an officer involved in a rollover crash in Lake Balboa. One of the cars ended up on its roof. 5 people taken to a hospital, but we're told none of them were critically injured.
The LAPD is investigating a bizarre incident at the LA Zoo. A man jumped into the hippo enclosure and harassed one of the animals, and it was all caught on camera. CBS 2's Tom Wade is live at Griffith Park with more on this bizarre story. Tom.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Pat. Someone was rolling here at the LA Zoo when this guy jumped into the enclosure. It's disturbing video because it shows just how defenseless these animals can be. Video posted to Instagram shows a man crossing into the LA Zoo's hippo enclosure and sneaking up on 2 hippos.
Oh my God.
The man's approach is very cautious. Finally close enough, he slaps one of the hippos on the rear, takes a moment to celebrate, and then runs off.
Slap the hippo's ass.
The LAPD confirms they got a report of trespassing at the zoo and are investigating. The zoo says the hippos are Rosie and Mara. You can see the hippo who was slapped does not show much of a reaction, but the other hippo seems a bit startled and looks up as the guy is still in the enclosure.
Oh my God.
It's not clear if the man knows he's being recorded, but clearly he's showing off. And while hippos at the zoo do have human interaction, this kind of treatment can create an unpredictable situation. The zoo released a statement in connection with the incident. It is never acceptable for a guest to enter the habitat of any animal at the zoo. It is a privilege to observe these rare and endangered species, but they are still wild animals, and their space must be respected at all times. And because of this incident, the zoo had to put up new no trespassing signs. And of course, they're still investigating this and try to identify the man in that video. Reporting live in Griffith Park, I'm Tom Wade, CBS 2 News.
A fugitive suspected of molestation appeared in court today in Orange County after a years-long legal fight. Roger Giese is accused of sexually abusing a boy beginning in his late 90s.
Giese once worked as a voice coach for Buena Park's All-American Boys Chorus, but he fled the U.S. in 2007 and began living in England. After he was found, there was a fight over his extradition for 6 years. He was finally brought to Orange County last week. Today, the judge ordered his bail set at $60 million.
Now to that showdown over scooters in Santa Monica. It occurred tonight. Bird has shut its service down citywide to protest against the city. And CBS 2's Jeff Nguyen is live at City Hall right now with more on this scooter showdown. Jeff?
Jeff and Pat, the city of Santa Monica is starting its test program next month to regulate those e-scooters that you typically find on the sidewalk. Well, the catch is only 2 companies can participate. Well, a popular brand that started in this city is furious, and it's calling for a demonstration on City Hall. Walk through Santa Monica and you will find those ubiquitous Bird scooters going absolutely nowhere.
That's what's happening.
Like Hector Bello found out.
Does it work? No.
He eventually got this notice that all of Santa Monica is a no-ride zone. That's because the company is staging a protest. The local startup failed to top the list following an application review by a city committee for its electric bike and scooter program, which is launching next month. We saw plenty of people riding around on Lime scooters, which also failed to make the cut. So who did? Lyft and Uber, which owns a company called Jump. They got the best scores after the city council approved a test program that will award contracts to 2 e-scooter companies. Anatoly Petrov says both Bird and Lime are great scooters, but they need to be regulated.
80% of the people riding them violate one or other statute.
So Bird is asking riders to take part in a rally Tuesday evening during a city council meeting to show support for the homegrown company and push back against the recommendation to allow Uber and Lyft to enter the scooter market in Santa Monica.
Uber and Lyft is mostly like a taxi, like car company, but I never thought they would like get into like the scooter business.
No word on when Bird will end its stoppage. Tomorrow's city council meeting will not include e-scooters on its agenda, so City Hall is suggesting for people to email their comments on this matter. The deadline is Friday. We are reporting live in Santa Monica. Jeff Nguyen, CBS 2 News.
Okay, Jeff, thank you. From reality TV to reality bites at the White House.
Yes, new drama emerging from the Oval Office as an apprentice becomes an adversary. CBS 2 political reporter Dave Ryan has details of the war of words and a public case of he said, she said. Dave?
Absolutely. And this public debate seems to be getting more bitter every day between the president and his ex-assistant, that is. More sparring Monday between President Trump and his biggest critic these days, his former presidential assistant, Omarosa Maginot Newman. She says she has the secretly recorded White House tapes, and he says he never used the disgusting N-word. Omarosa Monagolt Newman's new book, Unhinged, promoted as an inside look at the unhinged White House, revealed that she taped private conversations and phone calls with President Trump and other top administration officials. In the book, Newsweek reports she wrote, "In my opinion, First Lady Melania Trump is counting every minute until he, President Trump, is out of office and she can divorce him." In response, a spokesperson for the First Lady told Newsweek Mrs. Trump rarely, if ever, interacted with Omarosa. It's disappointing to her that she's lashing out and retaliating in such a self-serving way. In a tweet, President Trump denied he ever used the N-word behind the scenes of The Apprentice, contrary to Omarosa's claim that she was told he often did. The president tweeting he got a phone call from the former producer of the show. At Mark Burnett TV called to say that there are no tapes of The Apprentice, where I used such a terrible and disgusting word as attributed by wacky and deranged Omarosa. And on Monday, Omarosa released a new audio tape conversation between her and President Trump about her firing.
Omarosa, what's going on? I just saw on the news that you're thinking about leaving. What happened? No, nobody even told me about it. Nobody.
Wow.
You know, they run a big operation, but I didn't know it.
Who's running this country? When Donald Trump says that they run a big operation, who is the they?
When Omarosa worked at the White House with President Trump, she vehemently denied he's a racist. Now that she's selling a book, all that has changed. Omarosa's book, Unhinged, is published by Simon & Schuster, which is a subsidiary of CBS. Jeff, back to you.
Okay, Dave, thank you. New details tonight about the fire that broke out in a Disneyland parking lot.
That's ahead, plus this.
A man gets 2 parking tickets for the same infraction just 3 minutes apart. He tried fighting the city unsuccessfully, so he contacted 2 on Your Side.
Hey everybody, I'm Garth Kemp. Coming up, wasn't a bad day today. Can we duplicate it tomorrow? We'll show you it's on the way.